Hey folks, hope you're going well. I've just done the most awesome land for wildlife assessment on a property up the Tuggalong Road at Canyon Lee. If you know that area in the Southern Highlands, not too far further south from, say, Berrima and the Mittagong area. Tuggalong Road, Canyon Lee, it's a great road to bash up. And the property just had the most amazing outlooks, rocky outcrops, just looking out to the west, quite amazing. Just feel really blessed sometimes to come onto some of these properties. I'm now in the adjoining national park to the north, sort of up the northern end. And I just want to make a video on this wattle here, if I can get down to it. But it's an absolutely gorgeous spot. We've got this sandstone outcrop, Eucalyptus agglomerata, Eucalyptus punctata, and there's Eucalyptus seaberi. Down in the lower parts of the property to the south, we just got things like Eucalyptus bridgesiana, Meliodora, Eugenioides, Pterodocornis, and Goniocalyx. We got Goniocalyx as well. So it's a real meeting of central tablelands and coastal vegetation here. Quite extraordinary. And we went down onto some granite rock, although here pretty sure we're on sandstone. But it's just the most gorgeous day. Let's see if we can get down to this one. Certainly dillied and dallied a fair bit here with really poor mobile reception. You know, I thought this might have been Acacia doratoxylon. It's certainly looking very similar, and we're getting trees, well, you know, shrubby trees, you might say, up to, I'm going to say 7-8 meters. And when you look at the doratoxylon records, though, there's just none here. And it's an inland wattle doratoxylon. It grows in this sort of habitat. What I mean, rocky sort of higher grounds are very commonly in inland New South Wales. But the most sensible conclusion would be it's Acacia subtilinervis, which there is records for around here. It's a very similar wattle. What I'm getting bothered by is bark. They're talking about the bark being grey and a little bit fissured. I guess to me, this is more of a brown bark. And when I look at this tree here, and I got to be very careful here, I'm going to almost kill myself if I go any further. That is a very doratoxylon trunk. And just the height of the plant, very doratoxylon to me, I think. But it's more likely, I think, to be subtilinervis, and that's what I'm going to put it down as. So up here on the Tuggalong Road, the Tuggalong Road's only about, a couple of 100 metres that way. And they're flowering all through here. They're putting on a really beautiful show. Subtilinervis, it's a New South Wales Victorian tree. It only just gets into Victoria in the northeast there. And it gets as far north in New South Wales as around towards Noons Plateau, just in that sort of Capity, Cullen Bullen area. And then it sort of comes down from there in a patchy distribution. There's a lot of it here in the Southern Highlands, and it goes towards Nowra. And then it comes down, it's also through the Blue Mountains there a little bit. There's a lot of it around the Tarlo River National Park north of Marulan. And then it's sort of got a real patchy distribution in sort of separate patches down to Eden in New South Wales and going in there to northeastern Victoria. So hasn't got a wide range, this one, subtilinervis. They're absolutely beautiful at the moment. They're in full flower, and I just want to try and get a really nice bit that we can look at. I've been able to get a few text messages out, and I'm getting told by a very good ecologist that subtilinervis is a bit variable, and it does ally very strongly to doratoxylon. I mean, that's what I'd be calling it, especially just with that tree there. But Anyway, I'm not too familiar with this one, so this is good. Beautiful place to make a video, this. These phyllodes, they're up to about 15 centimetres long normally, but I think they can punch onto 20 centimetres long. They can also get to 15 mil wide, and that's what's throwing me a bit with this one. Dorotoxylon, they're usually not a lot narrower than that. And I think Dorotoxylon, they can be about 7 mil wide. But these are getting, you can see this one here is getting a lot like Acacia obtusifolia, or even longifolia. So some of them are about 5 mil wide, and this one here is about, yeah, probably 11, 12 mil wide. So they are pretty variable. And I think that's what's throwing me a bit. Obtusifolia is just over here. That's not flowering at the moment. But this one's in full flower. And it's a much bigger plant than obtusifolia, I would argue, I think. There is one gland at the base of the phylode, though I'm struggling to see it a bit. They do say sometimes it can be a bit obscure. But there's a gland down there somewhere, just one gland at the base of the phylode. You've probably seen sometimes I have problems picking this up. So sorry, just correcting there. Yeah, the gland can be inconspicuous. It can be hard to spot, but it is normally there at the base, just one gland. There's a nice definite pulvinus. Oh, there's a little bit of black there. That's probably the gland there, yeah, just on the top part of the leaf, just at the base, right at the, what we call the base of the lamina or the tip of the pulvinus there. So one gland. So yeah, 20 centimetres long. And then we've got these beautiful cylindrical inflorescences these times. So cylindrical. Now what I read about Dorotoxylon is you can have 2 to 5 in a leaf axil. And when I look over this plant again and again, I can only see 1 to 2 per leaf axil, and that's what subtilinervis is described as having. So 1 to 2 in a leaf axil, where Dorotoxylon has 2 to 5. And I'm definitely getting some pairs in some. They're a beautiful colour. They can be up to 3 centimetres long. Really, really beautiful. And you can see they're a deep golden yellow. They're quite gorgeous. So that's what's described for subtilinervis. Dorotoxylon, they're about the same length and they're the same colour as well. They're a beautiful deep yellow too. Just got a bit more material. Just wanted to have another look at it. Certainly gorgeous flowers. So beautiful. And you can see they're sort of at the upper part of the branches. They sort of don't come lower down. When I look at the whole tree, the flowers are sort of up in the, I'd say the top sort of 15% of the branches or 10%, not really coming down to the lower parts. That's another sort of feature of it as well. So that's going to call it the Southern Highlands form of Dorotoxylon. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. But subtilinervis. I assume that species name relates to the nerves. Something about the nerves anyway, and it'd be good if I could maybe add that in at the end. The phyllodes are described as having a midvein, a prominent midvein, and then sort of parallel nerves which aren't all that obvious. But there's a series of parallel nerves there. That's what I'm seeing. I think with Dorotoxylon, they're sort of saying that the secondary nerves are very faint or very hard to sort of see. Obviously, I'm battling here to get in, deciding whether shade or sun's better. So there's a nice midvein there, and then there's a series of parallel veins, and they're not meant to be anastomosing, meaning they're not meant to be joining together. Just get it in the shade and see if we can possibly get a better look. Yeah, I just think the shade might be better. Yeah, so a very prominent midvein there, and then a whole heap of parallel nerves. And the parallel nerves, they're not really meant to be joining each other with more tertiary venation, what they call anastomosing in the Wattles, whether the veins are joining. So that's a beautiful plant. That's where I was thrown. I'm seeing descriptions online that it's a shrub or a tree to 5 meters tall, or it's I think PlantNet says it can be a small tree. Wattle Web is saying a tree to, I think they're saying it's a shrub to about 5.5 meters. Now I'm getting, and my work here this morning in its entirety, I've seen some plants up to about 7-8 meters. Dorotoxylin is described as being that big, up to about 7-8 meters. And I don't think the bark description online is really doing it justice at the moment either. But nevertheless, there's some subtilinervis records around here, and I've got it on good authority that that's what it is. So it's a beautiful wattle nonetheless. It's on this rocky ground in this Tuggalong Road area. It's all scattered through the hillside down there. And if you bear with me, and I just go up this beautiful landscape up to the higher ground, you can see it all through the hillsides over on the next sort of rise. It's all sort of growing through there as well. So it's really marking the landscape at the moment with all this yellow hue. It's quite beautiful. So that's Acacia subtilinervis. It's a more obscure one. It's one I'm not very familiar with, but just remember it's common around the Nowra area too and Moreton National Park. So you might pick it up around there. I should throw in the pod information, folks, at all times. We don't have those at the moment, obviously, but they're meant to be 10 centimetres long to 4 mil wide. I've never seen the pods, but that's what you're looking at if you get it in pod stage. About 10 centimetres long by 4 mil wide, so long and skinny again. I got to the bottom of subtilinervis. Yeah, basically that's the roots of words like subtle. It just means fine nerves. So really fine nerving along the leaves, which it does seem to have a lot of fine parallel veins. So that's the meaning of subtilinervis, subtle veins, really fine veins.